Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Nature Folklore Sessions, 12th of June, 2022. Well, thank you there for joining me for our weekly time of exploring nature-centered folklore, connecting this within your favorite sanctuary space, and expressing inspired visions from your sanctuary through your poetry, writing, arts, craft, performance, and problem solving. And this today is part two. I'm using the back screen, which is the logo. It's part two of our four-part summer blooming series, and this is Midsummer Gathering. And it's a bit earlier than I usually do it because I've changed venues. I've only just this second, I think I've set up. So please let me know. Are you getting a microphone? I was having microphone issues. I was having green screen issues. And it was like 5 seconds to go. And I thought, oh, bugger it, I'll go live. But I hope you're getting it all loud and clear. It might be a very different sound because I've got very enclosed sound space. The green screen was a challenge because there's lighting I can't switch off. There's too much lighting. So it's all teething problems, as I anticipated when I announced the show. Cliff Carr's here. Good afternoon from the sunny cloudy South Wirral has come on board. I certainly Cliff Clark's here, and Cattle is in the back room. They haven't had a chance to speak to him, but hi, Cattle. We'll get you very soon there. So, as I say, what I've done is rented some space here in the Hive in Carrick On Shannon, which is extremely hot. But it's the new anchor and production centre for nature folklore. The internet is certainly a lot faster and much more stable here. But it's my first Sunday here, and I don't know what teething glitches there'll be. I know the glitch already is I haven't been able to get myself a glass of water. So sorry if I'm hoarse. There's going to be videos shortly. When there's a video, I'll dash off for somehow to find some way of getting water. But anyway, here we go. The guest today, we've got Lisa Moran, who we got there, the underwater dancer. Cattle here, Cattle Trainer's there. McTrainer is in the back room there. And another song from Cliff Carr. He's in the audience, but there's a picture of him anyway. And I hoped for Shannon Michaela Dory Smith to come on board, but she's not feeling too good. She was going to talk about bonfires of St. John's Eve. We might get her on board with that next Sunday if she's with us. That'd be fantastic. Anyway, as usual, these nature folklore sessions, videos, tree sanctuary support, brought to you with the support of our appreciated subscribers through Patreon and the PayPal donators, and that's the Patreon there. And some subscribers will be with us live if they're not already today, and join us later. Thank you for your continued support, though. Without it, I couldn't fund being here, sharing the show with you. And now that I'm in the Hive, the required funds are actually higher, unfortunately. So any more earlier birds with us on this fine June day? Let's see, Cattle is saying something, get yourself a jug. I got to find the jug first. That's the issue. Anyway, looking and sounding great. I'm glad to know the microphone situation's working good, and Cliff says very clear. So that's great, because I was having microphone issues right up until the what started. Well, anyway, each year I do tend to tell a tall tale of dawn and dusk. So I'm going to open with that again this year and try to keep it a little bit shorter than what I usually do. But after the summer solstice time, Ireland has a long-standing folklore tradition of celebrating the St. John's Eve. And if I can find some pictures, a bit of a St. John's Eve picture here. There's a nice old picture of St. John's Eve. It's lighting the bonfire on the sunset of the 23rd of June, which is a day or two past the solstice time. And these days, I think the St. John's bonfire is more popular in Cornwall and Spain than it is here in Ireland, although you will still see some fires light up around Ireland. Definitely where I was at Carrowcrory, there was a few up and about. I haven't been here in Leitrim, so I don't know what it is, how this is attended to here. But this story actually starts by telling that St. John, he lived in another realm before being born on earth. And the so remarkable reason he was actually a St. John there, he was a saint in this other realm, so the story tells. So the bards relate, as they say. Now, in this former realm before earth, John was a foster father for orphan children. And those he cared for, he gave them a gift of immortal life. And there was one orphan girl he blessed, and as an immortal, gave her the job of relighting the sun every morning. And this was to prepare the sun for its travels every day. And of course, her name was Dawn. And as I should have a where's my Dawn? There's the Dawn picture. There we go. So there's Dawn. She's lit up the sky there. And there was one orphan boy, and he was also blessed and became an immortal. And he was given the job of dousing the sun's light every evening so that the sun wouldn't harm anybody on its way to some slumber. And there we have dusk, just before dusk does his job. And of course, that was his name. I should have let you guess that. What was his name? Dusk, of course. Anyway, this little girl, Dawn, and this little boy, Dusk, and I have a background for this. Let's put them together. They lit and doused the sun every day, and they didn't miss any days. And during the long, dark days of winter, when there was barely any trees peeking out of the horizon, the sun only has a short journey then. And then during the long spring days, the sun wakes up more. It wakes up nature with the warming rays and continues to do this until the summer arrives. And the sun starts to work more between the spring and the autumn, of course. So there's no lazing around in the morning anymore. And when the summer arrives, the sun barely gets any sleep at all. And during the summertime, little boy Dusk, he barely gets any sleep at all either, because as soon as he gets to sleep, there's Dawn arriving to relight the sun. And each year, when we arrive at summer solstice, when the land's filled with flowers, the sky is full of birdsong, and everywhere is full of light and joy from just about everything. And this is when little boy Dusk and little girl Dawn, they're very close, and they're close enough to each other to be able to look into each other's eyes. And this summer solstice time, when Dusk hands over the sun to Dawn, their hands touch. And this is touched with a soft caress. And then their lips meet to share a brief, sweet kiss. Now, Sir John of the Water, who he never sleeps, he noticed this amorousness of Dawn and Dusk each midsummer time. And he once said, well, I'm so happy for you both, and so happy that you'll be forever happy together when you come together every midsummer, because you're immortal. So why don't you get married? Well, Dawn and Dusk looked at him in surprise, and they said to him in unison, don't ruin our joy. Let's remain young and in love as we are this moment today, at this midsummer time, and be this way forever too. So St. John blessed their decision so they could continue to live and love just as they wanted to. So ever since St. John's blessing, for about 4 weeks a year, Dawn meets Dusk. Dusk sets the dim sun to the hands of Dawn, and the hands meet, they embrace with a sweet kiss. And then Dawn's... I'm supposed to have a picture here, but it hasn't quite come up yet. There it is. And Dawn's golden glow relights the sun again and warms the hearts and loves within all mortal women. And of course, Dusk's cheeks, that's supposed to go away. There we go. We'll get the clicking right. And Dusk's cheeks are red, the sky is red, and this reflects the joy of all mortal men. So St. John, being aware of this annual midsummer meeting, he blessed the earth with soft rains. which we usually have this time to awaken the beautiful flowers and the beautiful sounds from living beings. This year is a bit different, of course. There's been a bit of soft rain with a bit of bluster with it as well. We've had a lot of bluster this week. But as we know, as the midsummer caressing meeting of dusk and dawn, oh, I need water, don't I? As we know, the caressing meeting of dusk and dawn is often screened off by this soft drizzling rain, just as it often is, but not today, really. It was earlier. But as dawn and dusk are immortal, we know that whether we see the dawn and dusk or not, they're always meeting at this time of year, and we'll do the same next year when I'll probably tell this story in some form again. Okay, that's that's sort of my briefing of dusk and dawn anyway for the time moments. Let's see who's joined us in the middle of that. There's Claire Kelly from the Midlands of Ireland, sounding and looking good. Thank you very much. Morning, Terry Slack Hardwick from Maryland. And lovely to have you with us. Fantastic, great, wonderful. Yes, another question on this sound. As I say, it looks like microphone's going okay. Are you finding it a softer sound? Because as I say, I'm very soundproofed in here, which I wasn't so much in Carrowcrory. So are you getting that? Are you getting those sort of subtle, smooth tones that you're supposed to get on radio? Is that happening, or is that just my imagination? Let me know. And anyway, how the sound is. Claire Kelly, sounding and looking well. Here we go. We got people are just logging on very quickly here. We got Gerard from Dublin. Is that you, Gerard? Fantastic. Trying out from YouTube this time. And Breezy Kelly's here. Good day for you. Hills of Donegal. Love the time. Love every time of the year. And Claire's saying the sound is perfect. So that's great. So that was the story of Dawn and Dusk. I'm actually going to excuse myself with a video so I can look for a jug and get some water. And I'm going to do another encore, and you have loved it when I have shown it. Someone else has come on. Little Wings here. Greetings from Manchester, England, for John and friends there. Fabulous. Thanks for being with us. And Lisa Moran here is the video. Oh, someone else. There's comments galore. Great sound. There we go. I'll say hello to everybody because Cindy's arrived. Good morning from South Carolina. And Breezy is saying good day to you, beautiful lady. And Cliff Carr, great sound. And right, as I say, for those of you just coming on, I did tell my annual story of the immortals, little girl Dawn and little boy Dusk. So you can go back to the beginning when this is finished, and just in case you haven't heard this. So I'm doing another encore. As I'm starting off in this new studio in the Hive, very different setup. I had it already within 5 seconds of coming on the air, and I'm going to jump for find a jug to put some water in, and I've got this encoring this beautiful video, which is As Pure as a Promise. It's a poem from Liz Moran, and here's a picture of her there in it. Just get my buttons in order here. Oh dear, right. I'm having computer switch off now. There we go. Anyway, what was coming up is a remarkable water poem film of Lisa Moran put together, and she's a breathologist. And this is remarkable. It's a support film for her poem with her dancing underwater, which she absolutely loves. And this is filmed in the very mysterious Loch Owl. And there's a picture of Loch Owl, which is a lovely, mysterious picture of it as well, with the island in the middle, which has got some quite a bit of folklore to that as well. And this poem is a tribute to the hope and promise the bodies of water do bring to us, which was certainly brought out during our very short water folklore series that we've just had. And it's about how the body of water acts as a conduit to carry us to other realms. And the poem's also reverent how water holds us, and it frees us, and it becomes sanctuary for realizing who we are and where we are going, which to me is part of the St. John folklore as well. It's not really shared and expressed that much. So while I try and find a jug and get some water, this is the Lisa Moran video of a poem, the beautiful poem, Appear as a Promise. And I've got to find the video as well. So excuse me for a second if I find it. Here we go, Lisa Moran, Appear as a Promise.
Appear as a promise. Appear as a promise traversing a lake, a place to contemplate at the edge of life's watery precipice. Appear is a beacon perched on a watery unknown, a reminder of freedom. We are all beautifully entwined, yet spellbounded on our own. Appear as a promise at the edge of a lake, a holdfast reed rooted like a compass, a breaker of tides and waves, and everything we believe we cannot be. Appear is a magical horizon between land and sea, where water dances and breaks, bellowed from the deeps, rolling, playing, and renewing for all eternity. Appear as a sanctuary, a watcher and keeper of a sacred holding space. A gatekeeper for a life-giving, watery embrace. Appear has one eye on the holder and a tree-strong base. It's where we go when we don't even know, to slip into blue-green twilight haze. Appear is a place of hope, where dreams float on an oak-embowed boat. Appear is a wise place, where a knowing is comfortable with the unknown, and you feel it in your bones. A place of promise, where you can acquiesce and sense a new day. And life's promise can and has begun.
Wonderful, Lisa Moran there. And we're almost accomplished. I'm just getting my water now. Hold on. I was talking to cattle shortly. So here we go. There's the jug. And I got myself a green cup. And it's just water. And that's all lined up, ready to go. So I trust you enjoyed the Lisa Moran. Now, every time I tell that and think of the story I told earlier of Dawn and Dusk, I think of another remarkable thing that happens at this time of year, and that is the mating of puffing birds that happens. And there we go. There's some puffins mating. There we go. Just get your comments, as we're saying. And there's Claire was saying about exuberance beauty, Lisa. Thank you. And Little Wing, what beautiful dance, beautiful prose. So I'm glad I encored that. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for the comments on that. As I say, I think of this is the time when the mating of the puffin birds happen. And it happens on our shores. And most of the year, puffin birds, they're living in the middle of the Atlantic, and they lose their colourful feathers that you see them with in the summer. And so they don't have the feathers to fly about when they're actually in the middle of the Atlantic. So they fly underwater instead. And they go fishing when they're in the middle of the Atlantic. They like herring, and they can actually catch hake as well, small hake. And they find the shallowest parts of the Atlantic, and they also dive for sand eels. They eat a lot of sand eels when they come in for the mating. But like Dawn and Dusk, puffins mate for life, but obviously they're not immortal. And there's some, so those puffins, they come in the mating time and they can recognize each other. And there they go, they're mating up, ready for their mating season, like they do every year. And the male and female, they always return to the same breeding place too. They meet up in late spring, and they're with each other through the summer, with their mate up. And it seems they managed to meet up because they have a memory map of smells. And that's what brings them back to the same place each year. And that probably is how they recognize their mate. Now, when first mated, the two together, they actually make their mating nest together. It's a burrow. They build these little burrows. They all go underground. Oh, they might be on a cliff. You might see them squawking on a cliff. But when I've been amongst puffins, this is what I've mainly seen, is these burrows. And they create these burrows with their beaks and the kicking of their legs. They kick backwards, a bit like what a badger does when a badger does a burrow. And also within each burrow is actually another little burrow. There's a cavity area, and that's actually a toilet. That's a bathroom. Sorry, I haven't got any photos of that. And the single puffling is hatched, is then trained to actually leave its nest area to actually go into the bathroom to poop and pee so that it doesn't mess up the feathers of its nest. I mean, isn't that incredible? It's like training a cat with a cat litter box, and that's what the puffins do with their chicks as well. And a puffin's nest is made of grasses and also feathers that you pick up from the bigger seabirds when they drop their feathers, like the fulmars and the seagulls, that type of thing. They pick up all those feathers, and that's what they make the nest with. But once the burrow is created, that becomes the couple's home for life, or as long as that burrow sustains itself, as long as it doesn't get filled in by weather or other animals. That's their home that they come back to every year, including the little area that's their toilet. Anyway, no worries about one puffling. They only have one puffling born each summer. But there's no worries about that, because this couple, birds you think of, they live for 6, 8, 10 years. A lot of little birds, like robins, 8 years, for instance. A puffin will live for about 30 or more years, and they'll be mated for 20 to 25 years. So during that time, they could have 25 pufflings. So that's how they keep going. And this is so different to the other bird species. But the one thing puffins are threatened with is the reducing fish food supplies. Those little eels they get, they're becoming less and less. So that's a concern. But the breeding season is a bit longer than 4 weeks, longer than 4 weeks of Dawn and Dusk anyway. Puffins get to April, the end, and they're here to about the end of July. So they're here for mating for 16 weeks. So that's a bit longer than 4 weeks. And the most active time is pretty much 4 weeks at midsummer, when the single chick, the puffling, is born. And pufflings, they nest well away from humans, but strangely, should you happen to be among them, they don't fly away. They seem to have absolutely no fear of humans whatsoever. You can get quite close to them, and that's how you can get very nice photos of puffins. But alas, I've lost all my photos. I used to go to Stromer, which is here, it's north of Caithness. There's John O'Groats of the Point. There's the mainland Orkney, South Ronalds, say, and there you can see the little island Stromer, and that's fascinating to go there. And it's a flat area where puffins nest, so it's very easy to get up to them, very easy access. That's it from the sky. That's what Stromer looks like as an aerial. Anyway, that's why I like to talk about the beautiful puffin burst today, because it's another midsummer phenomenon. And here we are, there's some puffins on Stromer, all huddling around their little burrows that they come to. And you can just walk all around them. And if you walk down in between them, they wouldn't move. They just don't move at all. No fear whatsoever. Anyway, our next guest live is a live guest, and I haven't said hello yet. We got Cathal here. And I think I must to get these headphones. Cathal Trainer is a very welcome poet, regular on Nature Folklore Show. He hasn't been on for a few weeks, so we'll get Cathal on for some lovely live poetry. Let's see how we get on here. Right.
Hello, John.
Hi, I've got to get rid of the picture. Good afternoon,
Hello, John.
Cathal. How are you doing there?
I am, my friend.
Ah,
I'm looking well.
Oh, good. And so you there. It looks, am I losing my precious camera thing? But anyway, we'll find out later on. Right, what adventures in poetry have you got to delight us with this afternoon?
Well, I know you're still involved in the nature and rebirth and the whole idea of summer, etc. I thought I'd just read a poem or two for you, maybe two small poems. But one I thought you might be interested in was that not necessarily to do with nature as such, but probably about the history of the land and how discoveries can reflect back to the land as was. In this case, 800 years ago, a farming family up in Granard, which is in the province of Leinster in Ireland, a few years ago found a bunch of chain that they thought was just chain link fence, and they threw it in their barn and forgot about it. And about a year ago, they happened to be going to an exhibition in Granard detailing the history of the area. And they found themselves looking at a picture of something that they had in their barn that they didn't know they had. It was a big surprise for them. And what it is a full intact chain mail shirt of a Norman knight. You could actually wear it if you wanted to. It's which is phenomenal in terms of Europe, because you usually only find pieces of chainmail from that era, bits and pieces of. But this is a fully intact chainmail shirt, which a knight would put on, or would he wear underneath his armor, and you could physically wear it. You could put it on and wear it even now. But I believe it's up with the antiquities now in Dublin. So I thought I might read that. But I'm sort of imagining what it was like for the first Normans who arrived here. It's possible that he was the son of the first Normans to land, because it's about 800 years old, this chainmail shirt. And it was discovered in Granard, as I say. So, I mean, when the first Normans came here, they were mainly around Dublin. As you know, they were brought over at the request of the King of Leinster, MacMurrough. And so the fact that it's found in Granard would sense to me, it would seem that they were the first, if you like, the Norman knights that were moving out into the hinterland, making their first movement into the country proper. And they built on the hill called Grianon. There's a hill in Granard called the Grianon, which has been worshipped, been used to worship the sun, which goes way back beyond the Christian era in Ireland. And it's a brilliant staging point to look out upon the lands of Granard that stretch out into the Midlands. And it is there they built their first moat in Bailey, which is what normally a Norman invasion force would do. They'd build this wooden structure first of all. So anyway, this beautiful piece of chainmail was found, and I was sort of imagining what it must have been like for that first Norman to step on the land in Ireland and be the first one to move into the countryside, into the hinterland, and what the experience must be like. So it was on the discovery in Ireland of a complete shirt of chainmail, 800 years old, known as a hauberk. Normans called it a hauberk, this mail shirt. So the first word I use here, or the last word in the first line, is lion. And lion, of course, is the Gaelic name for the ancient province of Leinster. So here we go. Hauberk. In the middle lands of Line, drawn deep within the bog lane, black turf, dark sunk, squelched, it lay, unremembered under dead Clark clay. Covered for centuries in iron, linked deep, mail shorted and chain, each link turnings in time and space, Norman named Hauberk. 800 winters had passed since the wearer had held fast to build moat-mounted Bailey in a deed done to conquer. To subdue painted Keltoi, to break with sword and shield, to destroy their ring-mounted wall forts with bow, armoured arms and horse. When last he who wore that mail looked out on an Irish sky to hail the morning, did he let his falcon fly to greet a new dawn? So back to you, my friend.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yeah, it really did impress me, the finding of that chainmail. It was a physical link back to that first invasion, that first experience of French Norman knights moving into what was then purely Gaelic or Celtic Ireland, obviously with the influence of Vikings as well.
Yeah, did you say Clonard or Granard?
There's a hill called the Grianon. It's a hill just outside the town of Granard, because the Granard name is Grianard, the high sun. So
yeah,
just outside of the main town of Granard. I've been on it many times myself. I was brought up in a town called Edgestown, about 5 or 6 miles, 7 miles or so away from Granard. So I spent many hours up in Granard. If you mount that hill, it's a hill that's been used to worship the sun for about 2,000, maybe 3,000 years.
It is fascinating there. I know I've been up it to see the view, and
it's a fantastic view, isn't it?
There is one or two other Motte Baileys around there, and it is fascinating, as you say, because it's an area where not far away, Columcille had his university that he attended to just thousands before. So it's amazing. It seems to be like an educational centre for a while, or certainly.
What was the name? It was a monastery, was it? Obviously, monastery.
They call it monastery now, but for learning.
It's not Shannon down in Kells by any chance, is it?
No, not that far. Not that far at all. No, there's nothing remaining other than a well. Excuse me. And there's another nearby Motte Bailey. There's hardly anything. It's just written down in folklore. Anyway, have you got another poem for us? Or
I probably can't give you another one, John. I can't. Just bear with me for a minute. I just thought I'd do that one for you, because I know you're very much keen on the history of the country, on its past, on its literature, on its heritage, and for me that really jumped out to me when I read the article in the Irish Times about that having been found. If I could give you maybe a quick one on live stream, since there seems to be a motif about water here, that beautiful poem that's just been read that accompanied the video, which very much looked towards water. I thought I'd just give you this short one. It's called Live Stream. The live stream ebbs. The current weakens and slows. The strength and surge that once whitened on the flood seems stilled. Desire breaking among the reeds. The stream bed is clear. Gears smooth by the stream's wash, water cold to the touch and numbing to taste and tongue. Let it flow as long as it may. The hunger for life is fresh and clear still. The sunlight sparkles still on the surface as the days fall away to evening. Back to you, my friend.
That was beautiful. Thanks very much.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all, John.
We'll see you again and have a great
Praise God.
yourself.
Yeah.
All the best to you. Thanks. That's great from Cattle Trainer there. Two very different poems. That was glorious. And Sherry Murphy's with us. Hi, Sherry. If what we've gone through so far, I'm in a different studio and I see the green screen's already playing up here. And this is in the Hive in Carrick On Shannon, sounding a bit different. We've had Lisa Moran's underwater dance poem. I had my version this year of the mating of dawn and dusk, and we've had the puffins and related to that as well. This was, as I say, this Claire was saying, fascinating cattle. That was great. Many thanks indeed. But I did invite poems and people contribute. We didn't get so many offerings this year like last year, but I've still got some lovely things to show you. And so I'm glad that Catherine had a little extra treat for you as well. Cliff Carr, as they like, the appear as a beacon, beautiful Lisa and Terry Hardwick Swift, like that. And Terry Hardwick loved the Puffins reunion as well. But getting back, Midsummer, the one popular thing, tradition is going up to Carrowcrory. And that's near where we used to live at Carrowcrory, people congregating at the ancient Carrowcrory cairns. And they watch the sunset. Most of them from this one here, which is the Cairn G. It's the first one you get to, the easiest to get to. And then much higher up, not quite the highest, is Cairn F. And that's what people go to. But I don't know how this is going to pan out this year, because I don't know how true it is. There's rumors going around that the cairns have been closed off. But it's all hearsay so far. I'd love to actually hear from someone who's visited Carrowcrory say, yes, they are closed off. And is this actually true? I've seen posts on Facebook and Twitter mentioning that OPW have closed off the entrances to the cairns and they're supposed to be keep out notices. But yet on social media, not one photograph and not one report back from people who visited. When I've seen, some people say, oh, I'm going up to Carrowcrory today, both on Twitter and Facebook, say, oh, good, please take some photographs. Let us know if you get access to the cairns. Not one of them responded back. So it's still a mystery to me. Are the cairns closed off like Loughcrew Cairn T is? Or are they open? Anyway, I'm going to assume they are still open and the rest of it is hearsay. People will be going up to Carrowcrory because probably very few people have even heard of that rumor as well. But if any of you watching knows about the story of Carrowcrory, is it open or is it not? Please let me know. Anyway, especially if it's about a month ago I started hearing about this closing off. So without photo evidence, that's it. I'm just assuming that you can go up there and enjoy and even get into them. Though, what have I got? Have I got a picture? No, I don't have. As I say, I showed Ken G. The observed sunset. This is a Carrowcrory sunset from Ken G 1 year. And I feel it should be the one to watch the sunset, to be authentic, I suppose. Get up to Carrowcrory. That's the day, the evening that is the closest to the authentic sidereal time. And that could be any time between the 19th and the 23rd. It looks like that green screen is escaping. It's disappearing off into. It really is disappearing off into sunset here. Anyway, right. But this year it's actually on the 20th. The night of the 20th is the closest to the sidereal time. But most people stick to the more modern Gregorian time, which is the evening 21st of June every year. You got to Carrowcrory then, most years you'll see 100, 200, even more people. It's got exponentially more and more popular. Now, for the Carrowcrory, the sunlighting of the cairns is actually, you don't have to be there for the 21st. Most times on the 21st, it's drizzle anyway. But anytime between the 16th of June and the 26th of June, you can watch the sun light up the cairns. So it's quite a window. But as I say, this year, the center point is actually early morning on the 21st of June. So the nearest sunset is the Tuesday evening. And the weather forecast for that is actually so-so. We've got a northwest wind coming in, coolish. We're going to have lovely days, it seems, on the Monday and Tuesday, and then cloud on the horizon of the sunset. That's what I think the weather forecast is going to be. And that's so annoying when you've had a beautiful day and then the sun is just going down. Boom, there's that barrier of cloud that appears. That's what happens some years. Usually if it's a northwest wind, that's what's going to happen. East wind is when if it's sunny and there's an east wind, it's pretty much guaranteed you'll be okay. Anyway, and the popularity there is quite crazy. This background screen that I've got is a lucky moment. And because what usually happens is you get all kinds of guides come up with their groups, and the guides are always fighting which group has got entitlement into that KNG. And so what happens is they're fussing around. One of the groups will slide themselves into KNG, and they think, oh, great, we're in here, we're going to watch the sunset. Then what happens is the other group stand in front, so you don't see the sunset. But I was lucky there because there was only a few people around. This was actually not on the 21st. I think I was there on the 20th, but it was just a few people standing. So if I can bend down, I did show it earlier. Anyway, you can catch, I caught the sunset on that particular day, and there wasn't a crowd to block me. So what I think I would do is I got a little video. I think I showed it last year, and this is some successful sunset experiences. So let's have a minute or so of this. Give you an essence of the solstice sunset at Carrowcrory. But that was quick, wasn't it? there we go. Carrowcrory at solstice, and also there were a couple of shots there from St. Stephen's Day because it showed a fire, someone's fire down below on not St. Stephen's, St. John's Eve, and I think I went up that time because you saw the moon, and there was a very good sun-moon alignment, though didn't happen too good that time because there was a lot of cloud, as you saw. But it was nice to actually get the other element of the St. John's Eve fire. So that was that. Let's see, comments. Stunning, John, from Claire. Thank you, Claire. And Sherry, thank you very much, Carol. And Catherine really enjoyed that. Thanks very much for sharing again. And Cliff enjoyed the bit of history there. 800 winters and the live stream. Beautiful it was. And fascinating, said Claire. Absolutely lovely indeed all round there. Well, the subject I was hoping to talk about, and I just really didn't gather thoughts too well for it. And this is something we really need to gather thoughts on. And that's embossed Frosney. It's a subject I'd love to spend time with on Nature Folklore with you. It's one thing if I do workshops again, it might be the subject that I end up doing with one or two people at a time. I'm actually finding it difficult to secure a guest for sound bathing next week. You never know. I might change it to the embossed Frosney then. We'll see. It'd be nice to have some sound bathing, have a bit of both. They're very related. Very focused subject, and as I say, sound and emboss very related. It's emboss Frosney. It's invoking altered states of consciousness, and through doing so, brings about the vision and wisdom which can't be found in books. Before there was scribing, before books, that's how wisdom really was brought together from observations and sensing those observations right into your consciousness. And some today, they claim that that practice is only possible through stimulation, through mind-changing substances, mushrooms and the like, which do have their toxicity risk. But I believe and have experienced that you can actually be in that state of emboss if you actually set yourself with the environments that you allow yourselves to be in. And it's amazing how that environment will speak to you and your consciousness and the visions that come. And that's how I picked up initial stories, really. I'd be visiting places. And of course, as a child with limited reading, all these little adventures came, and I'd hear about these characters. And I used to get other people to help out with these characters. Anyway, I'm going to look forward to going through emboss with you sometime on Nature Folklore. And if we don't get much response for sound bathing people next week, but if you know any sound bathing people, let's get them on next week as well. But that's what I'll be covering. Now, a few weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I think it was, I had to knock out an edition, which was the Ashlings and the Green Man. And that's because we're moving from Carrowcrory to Lichtenannan, where we are now. So right now, near midsummer, it's not just about beautiful flowers and herbs in bloom at this time. Let's get something that's relevant to what I've just said. There we go, yarrow. That's out quite a bit there. And that's beautiful. And that's a sort of first aid kit all in one. There you go. And that's a nice purplish one that's on. That's actually taken below the caves of Kesh there. Caves of Kesh. But it's not all about just about that. When the maize sown vegetables and cereals, they're getting warmed up. We wouldn't believe it with what we got, but the stuff sown in May, they're now picking up speed with their growing, and they're starting to show their abundance. And because the sun has warmed up the land, it certainly did the end of May, not so much early June, but it just shows that the Green Man's been very, very busy. Well, his spirit has anyway. So for our next guest today, and he's watching today, Cliff Carr, This time we got a Cliff Car song, and this time it is The Green Man. And like with all Cliff's songs, we'll be humming along. Once we've heard it, we'll be humming and singing it without any self-control for at least a week anyway. And as usual, I love the game of who does Cliff Car sound like this week? And to me, on this upcoming song, the Green Man song, Cliff sounds like Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers, impersonating a Wirral accent, of course, instead of their Maine accent. I think they're from Maine. Anyway, so if you've not heard of Jonathan Richman, look up YouTubes, such as songs like Ice Cream Man and Wheels on a Bus. You'll get the idea of what Cliff is going to sound like for you now. And as you may see, you'll understand if you see those. Jonathan Richman, Ice Cream Man, Wheels on a Bus, and you'll see why I'm making this comparison about Cliff Car. So anyway, here is Cliff Car and with the Ice Cream Man. Sorry, not the Ice Cream Man. Here he is with the Green Man.
The Green Man, the man in green, images of him are often seen. The Green Man, the man in green, I see him, he sees me. The spirit of the woods, one with the trees, age-old face, a coat of leaves, images of him from which I dream, not for death but of fertility. The Green Man, the man in green, images of him are often seen. The Green Man, the man in green, I see him, he sees me. A guardian of life and protector be, a warder of spirits to the Queen. Seasonal times, a life of rings, growth encircled from within. The Green Man, the man in green, images of him are often seen. The Green Man, the man in green, I see him, he sees me. And the forest lives and it comforts me, unlike the dryads who walk free. Pillars of strength and roots so deep, cleansing the air so we may breathe. The Green Man, the man in green, images of him are often seen. The Green Man, the man in green, I see him, he sees me. The Green Man, the man in green, images of him are often seen. The Green Man, the man in green, I see him, he sees me.
Well, thank you for that, Cliff. That was fun. As songs, I was very jolly. I'm sure they brought a few smiles to a few faces. And I'm sure you'll be humming the Green Man for the rest of the week, maybe the rest of the month. Fabulous. Thank you, Cliff. I hope you enjoyed that. And as Cliff says, brilliant video. Thanks for sharing, my friend. Yeah, I did have photos for that, as you may well have seen from that. Well, the bus, that was some rollicking fun, Cliff, and he's getting back at me. Wheels on the bus, beep, beep. Cliff, earworm. So that was full of it. So brilliant. And then people have gone back on, we're going back here, the Carrowcrory video, Claire Stunning, and Terry enjoyed the Glorious Sunset video. And late, Terry, thank you, Carol, with the second poem, but I agree, that was brilliant. Although very interesting about the Normans as well. Where we go, rollicking fun, very very good clips. Jolly from Claire there. A couple of pictures there that I nicked was the someone we haven't had on for a while is Keith Crenall. We've had his poems, wonderful, quirky poems, also great fun. I don't know if you ever meet up with him when you're around Glastonbury and Avebury and that area, Cliff, but when he's in that area, Kith is usually as the Green Man as shown. So thank you, Kith. Yeah, I don't think he's watched for a while. He used to be a regular watcher. He's at where is he right now? He's been in Wales a long time. I believe he's at Loughborough for the solstice. So that's fantastic. Right. Now in Ireland, as I've been saying, on the it's bonfire night, the St. John's Eve. So let's go back to some bit of bonfire nighting. People jump the flames. That's one time they do. As I say, it's not the night of the summer solstice. It's on the eve of St. John's Saint's Day here, which I find a little bit strange. As John the Baptist, he was a waterman. Hence why I've included the Lisa Moran's lovely water feature again earlier on. Now, the evening of the 23rd of June, being bonfire night in Ireland, I was trying to get some pictures of this. I just didn't have time to show this a bit clearer. But rather than burn precious wood, I know Belton tends to be the dead wood that's gathered up over the winter. What tends to be burnt up for St. John's Eve is choice of two fuels. None of them are the wooden pallets, etc., which people tend to use for their St. John's Eve fires today. Now, one fuel tradition is to burn old thatch, because thatch repairs and replacement are largely done on sunny days in spring and May, before the progress with the land and the farming grabs the labourers away from the roofs, because they've got to be out in the fields. So the thatch is used as a fuel. And they need to be out. The grains are growing, so stuff needs to be taken care of there. So in these old, do I have a picture? No, I don't. No, but I did have a thatch fire, but I've lost the picture. What I'm trying to find is a lovely picture of I had a baked potatoes picture that I want to show, which is what a lot of people do, but my baked potato picture has gone, which is a shame. So anyway, it's the last of the old year's potatoes, maybe the last of the apples as well. They were in storage, but some people will have some earlies that they might throw on the fire as well. But these days, of polytunnels, a pot of new potatoes with mint on the embers, well, they're great too. Now, the other fuel that's used is turf, cut peat. And it may have been the stuff cut in May. Again, I did have pictures, but sorry I don't have them with me today. But if it hasn't dried well, then they'll burn what's left over from the crop of turf from the year before. And so that's probably more likely. Burn the end of last year's turf, because the new stuff's going to be dry very soon. Now, outside of this feasting, the midsummer is very much inherited from Norse tradition. And especially within Ireland, because of how the seasons flow, Beldner and Lunasa have more meaning to the annual cycle. But the Norse people, midsummer is huge with them. And that's what, to them, that's when everything really gets going. And one of the feastings of this time is a fish time, especially for the Norse. And pickled herrings, roll mops, and this would be what they're on their fire, on their embers. Smoked fish like a mackerel, eels, sprats, kippers, trout, and the wild salmon is just starting to come in. It's just started. Claire and I had some lovely wild salmon from Donegal a couple of nights ago, and that will keep going possibly till the end of August. So it's a lovely celebration as well. And salads are important, but because our gardens may not be truly abundant for those of us who don't have polytunnels. We may have some early greens ready and also radishes, but we could add some forage foods. Let's see what we got. Some of the stuff you can put into your midsummer salad. Ash seeds, there you go. That's something. Ground elder, that's something that's in abundance at the moment. Certainly honeysuckle, they're quite tasty. They always look lovely on a salad as well, aren't they? And lime tree flowers, they're lovely. And the honeysuckle and the lime tree, just having those, they really mentally fantastic for enhancing relaxation. And then as a child, rosebud petals, that's another one. That's a good one there. Rose petals, add that to your salad. As a child, we used to pick these pineapple weed heads, and they're sweet before bitter. You get them when they're very young, and they're very sweet. And obviously they look like chamomile buds, but just get them when they're really fresh. They're lovely. We used to love those as children. And then you've got the do we have something here? Again, my pictures didn't come up somehow. They got lost. Anyway, I wanted to show chickweed. My chickweed picture is not up, but another big thing right now is elderflower. And make those and make that lovely elderflower cordial. So this is all, that was definitely cordial that was made for midsummer a few years ago. That's in the Carrowcrory kitchen. So those are other things you could add to your feasting this time. And you might be able to name other plants for foraging for food right now too. Add some sour cream. Because dairy, the traditions of dairy are very strong right now. Some homemade bread, of course, if you, from flour left over, but the sour cream with your potatoes. Of course, one thing with Ireland, potatoes have only been around for 500 years, is it? So what were people having before potatoes? And milk was a huge thing as a staple. Apples through the winter, but as a staple through the summer. I talked earlier about the young girls that would take the cattle up on the hill for the summer. And of course, these solstice fires will be up on the hill. So people will be up there and they'll be using up the milk from these girls as well. And strawberries. Strawberries be picked. So mix that up with the butter and the cheeses and the sour cream as well. So as I say, this is quite a celebration for dairy too. Butter was very important as a currency. That's what these women on the hills did. Like I explained, is they would milk the cows each day and they'd be forever churning butter. And then when they come down from the hills after Lunasa, that's the currency to pay off the bills and settle debts before Sawan is around. So some of the solstice and bonfire night feasting will be on the hills. The women will be supplying the milk and the butter. And the origins of butter, I think, is fascinating. The story of that, quite an obvious one when you think about it, because when the milk, the women milked up on the high cattle grazing area in summer, they or the sort of boyfriend that comes up to collect the milk would take the milk to take down below. And the story goes that as they were taking the wagon down, the milk would be slushing around. And then by the time they got to the bottom, you got this nice full cream dairy milk with all that lovely grazing up on the hills. By the time they got to the bottom, what's in the milk churns but knobs of butter? And of course, when people saw that, because the abundance of milk and people really lashing out and anything milky or cheesy, it said that the ancient Irish, they loved sour. They loved their milk to be sour, but they loved it to be creamy as well. And so when that milk was down there, they're looking, they're getting in their scoops. They want those little bits of hard milk that have gone into butter. And that's how butter evolved apparently into being a currency, because it was the most valuable part and the most in demand part of the milk. So that's a little weird how butter was invented anyway. That was the accident of it. Because also coming down with that milk, it's a warm time So there would have been all that warmth on the churns, which would have been wooden barrels, I suppose, and rattling about with all that sun's warmth. That would definitely have turned the milk into butter. And of course, there might have been even a little bit of sourness if the sun was that strong. And so that's it. Butter lumps, very valuable things. So at the end of the St. John's Eve festivities, you're going to get ash from the bonfire, whether the thatch was used or whether it was last year's turf. What the farmers would then do is collect up the ash. That would then be taken down to where the cultivation is going on and scattered over the fields, ask for a blessing from St. John, and so that their crops, especially the potatoes now, will be protected from the blight or any other diseases that might come from the humidity of summer. So that was part of the reason for the fire, is to create a blessing on the crops with the ash. So I think that's enough for that. As I say, I was going to have Michaela Dory Smith. I've been on with you for an hour. So we'll have her again, because what she was going to talk about, she's just come from the Aran Isles, and she's been there when they've had their bonfire night at St. John's Eve, and that's a big event over there. And I was hoping she'd show us some photographs, but anyway, maybe we might squeeze that in next week. We'll see how Shannon feels then. Right, what else have I got? I haven't really got any other guests or anything else. So any comments you'd like to make so far? As I say at the start of the session, the funding through Patreon, woodlandbard.com. Also, for those who don't like using the going through PayPal, you just use your card on Buy Me a Coffee, Nature Folklore. And if you can help, please, because my expenses have now soared with having to use the Hive here as well. So any support you can give, it'd be greatly welcome, so I can keep the show on the air and pay the monthly subscriptions. Coming up, 19th of June, as I say, it should be the sound bathing. Do I have a sound bathing picture? No, I never got the sound bathing picture. I was really bad for my pictures, but I've got nobody booked. So if you do sound bathing or you know anybody else going to be on next week, otherwise we've got the alternative of that we'll come up with as well. And anyway, any sound bathing that would like to contribute, please do so. Otherwise, it'll be on we'll have a inbox session. We'll have something with sound. Anyway, the inbox foreign snake. Oh, another drink of water. Inbox frosting. Right, that's what we'll do instead. We'll stretch into that. And then 26th of June, that's the fourth one. That we're rewilding ourselves. Again, I haven't got the picture up for that one, but we'll go with that title. What we'll do, we'll think about not only how letting go of part of our gardens and letting our gardens go back to nature and going back to wild, especially what's promoted by that wonderful community of We Are the Ark, encouraged by Mary Reynolds, has made rewilding beautifully popular. But this nature folklore edition of rewilding goes more intimately into the changes we may need to make to accomplish rewilding in ourselves as well. We may love the current rewilding concepts, but our inner culture and mindset remains on a total neat and tidy quest. So any rewilding we may do may be a sort of test the waters approach. But through this nature folklore edition, we will explore with some references to folklore how our living can be less control motivated, more adaptive, and through doing so, we can feel less stress and also become more aware of our being so. And it's amazing how this rewilding will actually couple up with what I'll be talking about with the imbus for Rosny. Oh, dear, sorry. Because with that, trusting our inspirations, that's a rewilding action, I would say. It's how we often get our poetry, often get inspirations for songs, and often do the things like I announced at the beginning of the show. So it's amazing how each edition of Nature Folklore couples on to the next one as we get through the year. And then we go into a new series on the 3rd of July, and I've got a wee picture of that, I know that, because we got Dana Driscoll's book. And this is what's inspired this series, Sacred Actions, Living the Wheel of the Year, Earth-Centered Sustainable Practices. So we'll introduce that on the 3rd of July, the first of 4 weeks, I think, 4 Sundays. And it'll be Sustainable Practices, Sacred Actions. And that's what we'll be talking about. I'll talk about the series more next week. And I hope on this very first one that we will have Dana live. Aurora approached her. She's going to see what she can do. Her book, since it came out this time last year, has been an incredible success. I think it's now the best-selling book with her publishers. So she's absolutely thrilled with that. So there we go. The fish grilling on the beach sent me back to my childhood in New England, clam bakes. Terry's like, oh yeah, I can imagine. Case Ness is well into that. Of course, that's very north up there. And the Orkneys, they gather up the driftwood and they do that there with the fish, especially the herring, especially with the first salmon as well. And Cliff Carr, thank you, Terry. Terry must have said something. High quality earworm. That's what she said. Pineapple weeds the same. Do you know, I've never got that. When I watched the pineapple weed as a child, I'm probably going to have to make reference, but it never grew the petals. It has the same center as a chamomile, but it never grew the petals. It just stayed there as it is. But it did get a chamomile bitter flavor as it developed. So you got to catch them when they're just yellow, they're just small, and they have an incredible sweetness. It was just one of those children's things that children showed each other. Of course, they're not showing each other now because they can't even show the child what pineapple weed is. But we used to love that, and we'd be seeking them out, and that would keep us going for an hour or two, looking out for these pineapple weeds and chomping away at them. And I'm sure they did us absolutely no harm. Not exactly the same, says Shell. Yeah, I've never gone into the botany of this. I should. And we did wonder as children, where's the petals go? You know, but the taste is similar. But I think the pineapple is a lot sweeter. I've never, sometimes we did try and get a chamomile bud, but the chamomile doesn't seem to be petalless. It seems to just come up as that bud. And whereas the chamomile always seems to have the wrapped up petals. Anyway, so I'm getting time myself up in knot. I'm enjoying listening to you while I'm standing here baking, and Breezy's getting ready for midsummer baking, but she's all year round baking. Half door is open. It's your voice with uplifting ideas, bringing the rumor of peace into 4 directions. Do get onto Breezy Kelly. Look on the Facebook especially. I think there's some YouTubes. Yeah, there are YouTubes as well. And keep in contact with her. As I have mentioned, unfortunately, her thatch cottage burnt down, not insured. So there's a big fundraising going on to get the cottage back open. The locals have been fantastic clearing out the remains. And they're all there ready to get the place going because Briggs is such an amazing host and bringing people together with the stories, old ways, the baking for peace. Baking for Peace was very popular through the Troubles. So this is not a new thing with Breezy. This was a peacekeeping activity that she is very much always going to be a legend for this in a practice. So any support you can give Breezy, and she's just great fun. Anyway, lovely book as well. I first met Breezy on Tara. She gave me her baking book, and that was a long time ago. Anyway, that's Breezy for you. And look her up. Fantastic. Thank you, Breezy. Right. Anything else you got to say here? I've been on an hour and a quarter anyway, so that's pretty good. Right. So thank you. Amazing guest today. We had Lisa Moran, the video there. We had Cattle Trainer on with the poems. Fantastic. Cliff Carr with a song we can hum all week now. And if you're watching this after the broadcast, watching the archive video, please keep commenting here. I do return from time to time to answer the comments. You can click the bell. That subscribes you to YouTube, and you get notifications of what's coming up in the next week, next few days. So thank you for doing that. And I don't see any more comments coming from you. Very kind of you to be watching. Oh, there's more comments coming up. There's what have we got here? Thank you so much, John and guest. Always look forward to the Sunday sessions. Pineapple weed, and there we go. Matricia discordia, German chamomile. Matricia recutita, Roman chamomile. There we go. They're both chamomiles, but they look very different. So you take your choice. You either, I assume, there you go. It's the German one that's the sweeter one. There you go. Probably good for sprinkling on your sauerkraut and your dill pickles, mixing it up with that. A wonderful combination. And a wonderfully uplifting episode. Thank you very much for saying that, Terry. Thank you so much. I think that's all I got to say. It's been fabulous being with you and presenting little bits casually in this new studio environment, which I'm still not quite used to. So thank you so much for this. Enjoy a safe week, full of wonder, inspirations, all the enchantments, all the inspirations you can find, all of the wonder you can get. And I almost put Cliff Carr on again. Thank you, Cathal, who's in the backstage there. And until next Sunday, play well. So that's it from me. Bye, 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 everybody.